Medical sources say at least 35 persons have been killed in most recent Israeli attacks on Gaza Strip, including 19 in Khan Yunis. Reacting to the latest attack on Gaza in a post on X, Francesca Albanese, the UN's Special Rapporteur on the occupied Palestinian territories, said, condemned the world's indifference to the mass bloodshed. Similarly, Egypt's foreign ministry has fiercely condemned the Israeli attack on Gaza City's Al Tabin school, saying it shows Israel has no political will to end the war. The foreign ministry in a statement accused Israel of repeatedly committing large-scale crimes against unarmed civilians whenever there is an international push for a ceasefire. It said such attacks reflect an unprecedented disregard for international law. The Palestinian group has released a statement condemning Israel's killing of more than 100 people in Gaza City in attacks on a school-turned-shelter for the displaced. In response to Israel's claims that the school was being used as a Hamas command center, the group said that these justifications are false and excuses to target civilians, schools, hospitals and refugee tents. In another development, the UN High Commissioner has expressed shock over remarks about the number of Palestinians estimated to starve to death.
According to whom letting 2 million Palestinians in Gaza starve to death could be justified and moral in order to free hostages. He condemns these words in the strongest terms, which also incite hatred against innocent civilians. The starvation of civilians as a method of warfare is a war crime.
As the Israel-Hamas war continues, countries have continued to call for a ceasefire. This comes as Egypt, along with Qatar and the US, is helping to mediate planned ceasefire talks scheduled for the 15th of August.
And joining me now is the Executive Chairman, 16th Council, United Kingdom, Brian Reuben. It joins me to discuss the latest attack in Gaza. Good to have you join us just about time when there is another hope for a ceasefire for both parties to sign the dotted lines. Israel strikes again. Would you see this as a war tactic?
Sorry, I didn't get that. Good afternoon.
I did not get you, but I was asking you if you perhaps see this as, a war tactic for Israel, looking at the fact that both parties were about to sign a ceasefire deal.
Now, it is difficult to say, to be very honest, but the key thing here is to understand that we're talking about human lives. Nobody made a choice. No Palestinian made a choice to be born as a Palestinian. So the rights of the Palestinian people to live must be respected. Human life is not what you play politics with. While I recognize, along with other people around the world, the right of Israel to defend itself. I mean, what happened on October the 7th? It's horrible. Nobody can excuse that, all right? What happened was horrible. However, Israel must recognize that according to them, the war is against Hamas, not the people of Palestine. So there has to be extreme caution, extreme commitment to preserving the lives of innocent civilians. I mean, this war has been on, and it's been on because the critical issue, the basic issues has not been addressed really. We have to come to that point where we recognize that we are talking about human lives and that nobody made a choice of where they are going to be born and that people have a right to live, they have a right to their liberty.
I mean, so there have been repeated calls. I'm so sorry to talk over you. There have been repeated calls, for the war in Gaza to end, and also on the increasing number of casualties. So for now, that is really not in consideration, looking at the fact that Gaza is still attacking. But the United States has always reiterated that the plan for a ceasefire is in the hands of Hamas. From your own standpoint, in terms of who has the upper hand, and looking at the recent assassination of the Hamas leader, who really has the upper hand in this case?
I will call on the leadership, on the Israeli government to step up and take more responsibility. I mean, I know that Israel has vowed to completely destroy Hamas. Destroying Hamas may not be something that will happen in one day. Destroying Hamas may not also have to happen before the war ends. See? So I think Israel should take a higher moral ground and walk their own talk, really, because there have been too many killings. A lot of people, a lot of Palestinians have lost their lives. And like I said earlier, while we recognize the rights of the Israeli people's government to defend themselves, it must be done from a higher ground. It must be done from the perspective that human lives are extremely important. And the war is against the Palestinians. So I will want the government, the Israeli government, to take the higher ground, all right? To lead by example, to recognize that their war is against Hamas, and that nobody is saying don't defend yourself. While defending yourself, you must recognize that nobody chose to be born a Palestinian, but just born an Israeli. So that's what I would say. I would expect the Israeli government to demonstrate leadership, all right? And the whole of the Palestinian population doesn't have to be exterminated completely before the war comes to an end, or before they agree to ceasefire deals. There must be some compromise here and there, and that's how these things work. When you are negotiating, this is a difficult matter, we recognize that. However, that's what leadership is about. Okay?
All right. All right, Brian, we've also had Israel's reaction to the appointment of Hamas's new leader, that's Sinwar. And the United States labeled Sinwar as a specially designated global terrorist. Some persons have argued that this has made him more of a target. Do you think this will make them, increase plans to assassinate him?
Assassinating the leader of Hamas will not help or de-escalate the current crisis. If you assassinate one leader, another leader will step up, right? This is how these people are committed to an ideology. So killing somebody, killing one person does not destroy that philosophy, it doesn't destroy their ideology. So, like I would say, I will expect the Israeli government to understand and recognize how many Hamas leaders are you going to kill before the war ends. If you kill one person, another person steps up, steps up and takes on the leadership. So there has to be a consideration that goes beyond killing the leader before the war comes to an end. That remains my position. But Israeli government must demonstrate leadership at this time and recognize that they have a right to defend themselves. Must be done, while respecting the rights of other people to be, especially as by their own words, the war is against Hamas, not the people of Palestine. And the people of Palestine have really done no wrong to lead. That remains my position.
All right. So we hear you clearly. I believe Israel is aware of the fact that the war is against Hamas, but some have raised concerns about the support of the United States for Israel, especially with the arms deal in place, which has, in a way, continued to fuel this war. Some persons, especially the leader of the Ballot Party, has said that Biden especially had the power to stop this genocide, but has, continued to, call for an end to the ceasefire, but also providing arms to Israel. What's your stance on this?
I don't think Biden has the power to stop the war. I think he might be able to influence that. And I also think that the government of the United States has also been has also not, been very, very outspoken about the need to respect the rights of people to read. So what I would say at this time is that we will expect the United States leadership, the influence to help to work with the Israeli government to bring about de-escalation, because they have the influence, they are allies, and they've demonstrated that through the war. Whether or not the government of the U.S. has the overriding influence to bring an end to war or compel Israel to accept terms of the negotiation deal, I think I'll disagree with that. I believe they can influence, and I believe that there are some of those ways they can influence could be calling on Prime Minister Netanyahu and the government of Israel to threaten issues. But to think that the United States can unilaterally, cause Israel to accept negotiation deal and bring about de-escalation.
All right, Brian. There are still hopes for a ceasefire deal despite the attack by Gaza early today. Anyways, we want to thank you, Executive Chairman, 16 Council, United Kingdom. Thank you for joining us on The World Now.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you.
And to our updates on the Russia-Ukraine war, Ukraine is bracing for more Russian attacks and retaliation for its cross-border incursion into the Kursk region. Authorities say Russia was moving in reinforcements, including troops, extra tanks, artillery, and rocket systems. Recall that Ukraine launched a surprise offensive in Kursk on Tuesday in the most significant attack across the border since Russia's full-scale invasion in February 2022. Officials say Russia introduced anti-terrorism measures in 3 regions bordering Ukraine. The measures by the National Anti-Terrorism Committee in Belgorod and Bryansk include the possible evacuation of residents, limits and transport in specific areas, tighten security around sensitive sites, amongst others. Well, you're still on to The World Now on TVC News. We'll be back with more stories after this break. Stay with us.
Sometimes it's the story that calls. At other times, the people just want to be heard.
School, I need students, but I need teachers.
Can't continue like this.
Their voices re-echoing through time itself.
We haven't done anything.
If the tide is high, everybody run for safety.
Their tears leave a sweet sour taste for all. Their demands, a familiar call beckoning for change. In our world, no one expects a disaster to happen. But when it does, we'll be there to x-ray all sides, from the east to the west, north and south. Committee Forum will examine the oddities and challenges to economic development, as well as issues yearning for government intervention. Watch fresh episodes of Community Forum on Sundays by 9:30 p.m. only on TVC News.